Well, to discuss more on the China-Nepal partnership, John Gong joins me. He's a professor at the University of International Business and Economics. Hi there, John. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. John, this state visit, I know, is making waves in the region because it does break with tradition, marking the first time that a Nepali Prime Minister is not starting the term with a foreign trip to Delhi. What message does this send?
Well, I think China and Nepal are very friendly countries. Nepal is actually the first country of China's neighbor that signed an agreement with China that declares, we don't have any territorial dispute between the two countries. Over the decades, China and Nepal's relationship has greatly developed. China's helped Nepal greatly in the past. For example, some of the Belt and Road initiatives in Nepal include, the very modern, nice airport in the capital city, and also recently China announced a zero tariff for all the least developed countries, among which Nepal is one, actually. So I think the cooperative potential between the two countries is actually quite extensive. And from Nepal's perspective, it's one of the countries that have a high level of external debt, and it's hoping that China's Belt and Road Initiative, these projects can be based on more favorable terms, from Nepal's perspective, and that's all quite understandable. But I think you look at the very long joint statement put out by both governments. I think the current situation between Nepal and China seems to be very promising.
Right, and there's of course no doubt that Nepal is very keen on investments from China. What other sectors do you see Beijing deepening their bilateral relations?
Well, I think it's mostly from economic perspective, but also include political angle as well. Nepal is very much dependent on India. I mean, that's just a fact of life. The foreign remittance from Nepalese working in India amounts to billions of dollars. So I think, from an economic point of view, Nepal is very much reliant upon India. But on the other hand, I think being a landlocked country, opening a northern corridor, I mean, it's more than just a transportation corridor, but also economic corridor into China, via China to the rest of the world, is also very important. Let alone, the China's own consumer market is very, very large. The world's, the number one, second largest consumer market. Nepal has, quite a bit of products, agricultural products that can be, sold quite well in Chinese market. So I think, from both economic and political perspective, both countries have an interest in furthering and enhancing the relationship between the two countries.
John, we have just about half a minute left, but during this visit, I must touch on this because Beijing endorsed an initiative for 2025 to be the Nepal visit year in China, right? How might this boost Nepal's tourism sector, clearly one of its biggest industries?
Yeah, I think, in the joint agreement, it says that 2025 will be the 70th, I think, or 75th anniversary between the two countries, and there's going to be some events to celebrate this relationship. So I think, it has a history going back many years. Again, I would emphasize, the economic ties, the political interests, and also I think, China has a interest also getting involved in the economic cooperation on the South Asia economic cooperation framework. And I think Nepal is also interested in inviting China into that pact. So I think from both economic and political, as well as other people-to-people exchange perspective, there's a lot of potential. I think the tourism industry, tourism is one of the things I think Nepal has a lot of hope from China. I think a lot of people here in China are very interested in visiting that, a very interesting country. It's something sort of like quite exotic to Chinese people. So I think, tourists can help really the economy in Nepal.
Professor John Gong, the University of International Business and Economics. Always good to have your insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerald.